Welcome back to Raise the Praise, where we choose to reclaim our joy and thrive in every area of our lives. That's physically, mentally, financially, and of course, spiritually, to do all that God is calling us to do with a spirit of excellence. Hey, faith friends, I'm your host, Jennifer Bell. I'm a wife, mom to 3 amazing human beings, a former school administrator, an entrepreneur, and an aspiring vegan. Y'all praying for me yet? Listen, I'm just here to remind you to never allow what you see, hear, feel, or even experience in life make you forget what God has promised you. He has not forgotten about you. Welcome, faith friends. Let's get ready for today's episode. Everyone has a story. And your story is meant to be shared because you'll never know who is going to touch, who is going to bless, or even possibly save. I want to tell you why I'm so driven, I'm so relentless and determined to show up each and every week on social media and on this podcast. I show up because I was given a wake-up call back in 2004 when we were living on the Incirlik Air Force Base in Adana, Turkey. First, I just have to tell you, I cried when my husband told me we were moving to Turkey. I remember so well the emotions that progressed through my body at the time. I was at the BX, which is the base exchange. It's kind of like a department store on the base, trying on shoes, when Jeff called me and said, "Are you sitting down? I just got my next PCS orders. That's permanent change of station. And it's not back to the States. We're going to Turkey." Y'all, I started crying. I started crying because we had been living in Germany for the past 3 years at the time, and our youngest was a toddler. And I just knew we were on our way back home to be around family. Now, don't get me wrong. Having the opportunity to live in Europe, to travel, see so many beautiful countries like France and Italy and Czech, living in the village and getting to know our amazing neighbors and learning a little bit of Dutch here and there. I wouldn't trade it for anything. However, we missed our families and were ready to reacclimate to Western culture. God saw fit for us to go to Turkey. So once we processed everything, because it's not like you're going to tell the Air Force, you're not going, right? We prepared for the move. So let me just tell you, Turkey to this day is one of our favorite PCS moves. We loved getting to know the culture, the people, food. The food was amazing. Once you got past the Turkish teas. We were able to walk where the early Christians carved their homes in the valley walls in Cappadocia, like you read about in the book of Romans, when they were seeking refuge. We had the opportunity to visit the 7 churches tour, the 7 churches that are mentioned in Revelations. We didn't make that trip. Some other things came up. I was a little bummed, but we did have the opportunity. So anyway, Turkey turned out to be so great for us. We got involved with the chapel there and to this day made lifelong relationships. So here's where my but God moment happens. I woke up rushing as usual to get ready for work. I was teaching first grade at the school on base. Jeff had already left for work. My 2 oldest children rode to school with me, and my youngest was left home with the nanny. Now, hold on a minute. It's not like that. Not what you're thinking, nannies and all that. Nannies and gardeners in Turkey are very common to have when you live on base. It helps Turkish families with income, and it was super, super inexpensive. Oh my goodness, how we miss and we loved Rose and Shanul. Rose was our nanny and Shanul was our gardener. They were a husband and wife team. And when I tell you they did everything but a spirit of excellence, it was amazing. Hated to leave them. Well, anyway, on with the story. So I taught all day. I stayed late, past 6 p.m., as most teachers do, to make sure things were ready for the next day, etc. And I went straight to choir rehearsal. See, at that time, I was part of the music ministry on base, and we had a guest musician there. So I did not want to be late as we were preparing for Easter. So as we started the rehearsal, I started to feel a little dizzy, hadn't eaten, remember I came straight from work and went straight to choir rehearsal. So I started to feel dizzy and I just wanted to sit down. Well, let me just tell you, if the lady was not standing next to me, I would have fallen straight to the ground instead of leaning on her. At that moment, as people were praying for me, wondering what's going on, they were fanning me, trying to give me water. One minister I remember was praying in tongues and said, I recognize you and I command you to go in the name of Jesus. They called the ambulance, they called my husband. I started to see this darkness, y'all. That's the only way I can explain it. It was this, everything was like turning dark, like a night sky without any stars. I wasn't afraid, but I remember saying to God, Lord, if you're taking me now, I'm okay with that. Just please let me know. Please let me know that my babies will be okay. I can hardly say that to this day, all these years later. But anyway, because I was rushing so much that morning, I didn't even remember if I said I loved you to my babies or to my husband. I don't even remember if I kissed them. But I heard God tell me He had things for me to do. When I heard that, there was this calmness that came over me at that very moment. And by this time, my husband made it to the chapel and was by my side from then on. We make it to the hospital, and Jeff says to me, as we're in the examination room, he says, God says we have things to do. You're going to be all right. Now, mind you, I've said nothing to him about what God said to me. Y'all, it was like, oh my gosh. I said, that's exactly what God told me. When I tell you my faith was shifted into high gear, and I said, tell the doctors, do whatever you need to do. I know I'm going to be okay. So later, after many tests, the doctors came and they said they can't explain what happened to me. They were saying things like you were displaying symptoms of a mild stroke. They took a test of my brain to see if there was any brain damage, and there was nothing. Nothing. Of course, we rejoiced and we gave God praise for it all. I know without a shadow of a doubt that God touched my body that day. It was my but God moment. Y'all, I'm telling you, the power of prayer is real. So from that day, I knew I needed to get my health in order because at that time I was overweight. My youngest was 4 years old and I still was carrying on that baby weight. So I knew I needed to get my health in order, and I tried earnestly, y'all, for the next 10 years after that. I went on every diet that I could. I was not successful, meaning, I just wasn't successful because it wasn't working for me. And I share more about that part of my journey in the episode, My Story. So if you want to check that out, please do. But that but God moment for me was another part of my process towards my purpose. Of course, I've had some other but God moments as well. This is why I want to be fit for Him. I say it all the time. I want to be fit for Him. I want a mission to be fit for Him physically, mentally, financially, and spiritually, so I can help others to do the same, right? There's greatness inside of all of us, just waiting to be released so that we can tell our story to help others. That's the but God moment that shifted things for me and started to put my purpose in process, right? So I hope my story encourages you to stir up the gifts inside of you. Use your but God moments, and I know you have them too. I know you've had some. Use them to propel you into your destiny, your purpose, and get on with the business of life and impacting those around you in a positive way. You have it in you. You've got greatness in you. Y'all have an amazing day, and remember to choose joy because joy is a choice. Until next time. Hey friends, thanks so much for sharing your time with me today. Real quick, before you go, if you found value in today's podcast and something resonated with you, would you leave me a 5-star review and subscribe on iTunes? I am thanking you in advance, and I look forward to reading each and every one of your reviews. You can find me at raisethepraisepodcast.com or join my Facebook group, Choose to Praise. Until next time, remember to choose joy and raise the praise in every area of your life.